Welcome to Blue Talks.
All right. Okay. My life stopped at the top of a 50-foot pole. My legs were like jello. I was trembling all over, and the pole was wobbling in every direction. It was becoming clear that I had drastically underestimated this exercise. The goal of this personal development experience was to climb to the top of the pole and then jump off in a way that I could grab a trapeze, signifying my commitment to myself and my new life going forward. Seemed like a good idea at the time. It wasn't that hard until about 40 feet above the ground when the pole started wobbling with every movement. I lost control of my body. My breath started catching in my chest. My whole body was trembling and shaking, and the new goal became getting this exercise done and getting back safely on the ground as quickly as possible. So there I was, standing at the top of the pole, ready to jump and make my way to freedom, when I heard a voice from one of the coaches below. This voice said, "What's your hurry? Don't you want to stop and take a look at the view? You're only going to be here once." When I looked up, tears exploded from my eyes. We were in the middle of Napa Valley wine country, and I've never seen a view that gorgeous. In the distance, there were beautiful rolling hills and giant oak trees, and there were fields full of grapevines. It was a perfect blue sky day, and everything was in bloom. It was early spring. I felt like I was at the top of Pride Rock. If that man from below hadn't stopped me that day, I would have missed one of the most gorgeous moments of my entire life. I call it practicing the pause. It slows down your heart rate and it shifts your body out of stress mode so that you can relax. This opens up your mind and it enables you to connect with your feelings and communicate with your heart center. This is how you connect with your authentic self. The value of practicing the pause is that it creates space for you to actually live in the moment. It doesn't add that much time at the end of the day, although we get so wrapped up in our checklists and our calendars and what's going on in the media that we forget to be present where we are right now. These tiny little unexpected moments between activities are where the essence of life lies. This is where we quite often find most of our enjoyment. The times when someone wraps you in a loving hug unexpectedly, or when your kid looks over at you and says, "I love you," or when you're sharing a close moment with your significant other. It's where the magic happens. Just like when I looked up and started to appreciate the view that day. With the shift that was created in my body, I was finally able to connect to my breath, and I stopped the trembling. I regained my strength, and even at the top of that giant pole, I felt instantly grounded. Practicing the pause is the first step to connecting with your body in order to improve your quality of life. When you keep yourself in autopilot with blinders on, rushing from one thing to the next. Your body isn't able to receive messages from the universe. This is why meditation is so popular, because it turns off that autopilot. And even though we've all heard the amazing benefits of about the amazing benefits of meditation, most of us aren't that dedicated. Practicing the pause creates a similar space, although it's much easier to access. You can pretty much access it no matter when, no matter what, anytime, any place. It's as simple as taking a deep breath and then just focusing on the feeling of your heart beating in your chest. If you want to receive messages that the universe has for you, you need to tune in, because they start out really small. We've heard a lot about Oprah today. I call her Queen Oprah. Difficulties come when you don't pay attention to life's whisper. Life always whispers to you first, but if you ignore the whisper, sooner or later, you'll get a scream. Just like the time I found myself in a dark, dingy back alley, standing over a dead body. We were backpacking through Thailand, and I was intensely focused on my Google map, trying to maneuver my way through the busy street. There I was, blinders on, staring into my phone, and once again, not taking time to notice the view. My husband tried to warn me that the back alley I was about to turn down looked pretty sketchy. But since his navigation skills are practically non-existent, I quickly brushed off his warning. He reluctantly followed behind me because my street cred is pretty much at a zero. Not too long after I had ignored the whisper from my husband to pick a different route, was all I could hear from behind me. Without even noticing it, I had come across a disgusting, bloated, dead rat. And before I realized what was going on, I was pretty much standing right on top of it. This rat was the size of a splinter, okay? It was huge. The messages were being sent to me that day, but I was not tuned in and I wasn't listening. It took placing a humongous puddle of dead rat in my path to get me to actually stop and pay attention. Listening is the next step to reconnecting. The body speaks in whispers first. Your body is constantly talking to you, but it has its own language. So you see, your body, the way that it communicates that something is wrong is by giving you pain or discomfort. Usually it starts out small, maybe a bit of a stomach ache after you eat, or just generalized aches and pains, maybe in your joints. Maybe you just don't move the way that you used to. These messages are usually easy to ignore at first, but they can quickly grow into something more serious. Modern medicine would have you thinking that this is just a natural part of getting older. However, just because it's common doesn't necessarily mean that it's normal. The way that the medical system would have you manage these things is to take a pill and just simply turn off the perception of the pain or discomfort. Although this would mean turning off your body's communication system, which is the key to figuring out what's causing this discomfort in the first place. Because when you can properly interpret the root cause, then you can fix it. And most, if not all, illness is a result of depletion. This is what I do in my business. I help you interpret what your body is telling you so that we can fill the depletion. Throughout my career, I have watched the quality of life in our society diminish before my eyes. My apologies. The rates of terminal illness appear to be increasing by the day, and people are getting diagnosed with disease younger and younger. Hospitals are bursting at the seams, and the burnout rate of frontline staff has never been higher. The truth is, the health crisis that we are facing today started long before most people even knew about it. This became quite clear to me when I ended up getting sick myself and being failed by the system that I had served for so long. I remember sitting with my husband in our living room one night. We just had another argument. And it wasn't like us to fight like this. We were at a breaking point. He looked over at me and he said, "Babe, I love you more than anything, but you're not okay. And we're not okay. And I think it's time that you get professional help." We had just had our first son a few months before, and I had gone downhill ever since. From the outside, our life would have looked perfectly happy, but on the inside, I was a total mess. Throughout the pregnancy, I continued to work full-time, day and night shift as a registered nurse. I rarely slept. I didn't manage my stress well, if at all, and I was exhausted. And after having my son, it got worse. I wasn't taking time to listen to the messages that my body was sending me. And let's face it, it takes a lot of extra energy to grow another human. I wasn't providing the nutrients and the rest and the self-care that my body needed in order to keep itself running smoothly. When my husband told me that I needed to get professional help, I knew that he was right. Although I just remember wondering, like, how I let it go so far, you know? Like, how could I need professional help? I am the professional help. I made an appointment with my doctor, and after squishing my story into a quick 10-minute consult, he suggested a prescription that might work. That's it. My world is crumbling around me, and all you're going to do is send me away with a tiny piece of paper? That was a scream that I needed to finally get really quiet and connect with my body. I had nothing against the medication, although in my heart, I just knew that this wasn't the right path for me. My body wasn't lacking some sort of chemical concoction. My body was lacking sleep and nutrients and a lot of self-love. By declining my doctor's offer that day, I stepped back into my power. At that moment, I didn't know what I was going to do. However, I did know that I was ready to continue searching until I found a solution that aligned. It only takes a moment to connect to your power. But your body is always talking to you. Get quiet and hear the whisper. If you want to live the highest health possible, you must first become aware of your body's communication. Feel what it's saying to you. Then you can take control of your current circumstance and create wellness in a way that aligns with your values. It doesn't mean that you can't ask for help, and in fact, I encourage it. You can build a whole team if that's what it takes. You don't have to have all the answers by yourself. But know that as you go forward on your journey, you are in the driver's seat. So when you practice the pause, listen to the whispers and stand in your power, you can live the highest quality of life that you can even imagine. And it's time to take that step, because improving the health of society and the next generation begins with you. So I'm going to finish up with a quote from Les Brown. He said, "Ask for help, not because you are weak, but because you want to remain strong." Thank you.